All I really want out of any of my cars is for them to be fun to own and drive. My Polo is a bunch of fun because it's slow and fun to drive fast. My MX-5 is fun for a number of crazy different reasons. But in this video, I give you 5 cars that are pretty good value for money, all cost less than £15,000 that offer you a bunch of fun for that price range. If you want to see this video again at a lower price range, under £10,000 maybe instead, do hit the like button. 1,000 likes and I make that video. Subscribe so if you're new. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's kick off with a car that's been recently replaced, the Toyota GT86, a car I drove a couple of years ago and one that genuinely offers some of the best driving enjoyment in its price range, considering it's not particularly rapid in any way. It comes with a 2-litre boxer 4 engine that makes just 197 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7.4 seconds, significantly slower than all the other cars on this list, but hear me out for a moment. Driving a fast car fast is very difficult to do, particularly with speed limits, speed cameras, police cars, other road users, pedestrians and all that kind of stuff. You're basically limited to track days. The GT86 is the perfect level of fast where you can push it around and have fun without doing license losing speeds, and its super balanced handling means you can throw it around corners with bags of confidence knowing it will stick. It's this famous handling that enabled the Gazoo Racing GT86 trophy to start, which basically got drivers in both circuit racing and rallying to use the car and score points towards a one-make championship. A clever idea, but also shows just how capable the car is, which is why you see them so often at track days. I will say it feels a bit cheap on the interior, but it is nice still for the money, and the car lends itself to being modified, so if you're that way inclined, it's a great platform to start from. These start at around £9,000, with £15,000 getting you a 2015 model with 50,000 miles on it. Door pillar rust, rear lights filling with water, lumpy idle and valve springs have offered the main problems with these, but in terms of catastrophic failures, it's few and far between. The GT86 is often referred to as the modern day Mazda MX-5, and do you know what is also a bit like a modern day Mazda MX-5? The modern day Mazda MX-5. This ND generation comes as both the standard convertible and the Targa style RF, the latter of which I think looks a bit cooler, but both do the job. You can get one of these with the 2-litre inline 4 engine that makes 181 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds, again not incredibly fast, but the MX-5 has always embodied the concept of driving pleasure, not out and out power. It's for this reason that literally all 4 generations of the MX-5 have or have had race series, which are frequented by both those getting into racing cars and those who've been in the game a long time and want to race something fun. Seriously, if you've got a bit of spare time and you're not busy watching through my back catalogue of videos, check out some of the MX-5 racing videos on YouTube. It's a million times more exciting than F1, and that's coming from a lifelong F1 fan. The MX-5 has always been about cornering balance, inspired by British roadsters of the early to mid 1900s, and today it remains a gold standard for the roadster class. Its simple concept merges into its simple interior, simple but quite pretty exterior, and simple modification opportunities too. The new design for the ND generation being a bit more angular has stepped away from some of the more bubbly previous MX-5 designs, and I personally am a major fan. They start at around £13,000 in RF spec or a bit cheaper in convertible, and for £15,000 you get a 2017 model with 60,000 miles on it. Reliability on these is good too, and finally it appears that rust isn't an issue, though we may still be a bit too early in the car's lifespan to tell for sure. If you like hot hatchbacks, it's rude to not at least appreciate the VW Golf GTI, as though it wasn't the first ever hot hatch, it was arguably the car that did it best, earliest, since the Mark I GTIs have continued to increase in price and popularity ever since, paving the way for multiple generations which have all been built around a similar formula, making a car that's got reasonable pace, but more interestingly, exceptional driver enjoyment. In this vid, we're talking about the 7th generation GTI, which comes with a 2-litre turbocharged inline 4 which makes 216 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.3 seconds, which is funny because I could have put the Golf R into this list and all those figures would have been much higher. But as I've said a million times already, the GTI badge embodies what this video is about, having fun, where the R badge is a bit more about going fast. The Mark 7 GTI was renowned for being an amazing all-rounder, practical, particularly in 5-door spec, fast enough in terms of performance, great dynamics in corners, and well built compared with its main competitors. Being front-wheel drive, it's more of a pure old-school hot hatch formula than the R as well, which is why you got a bunch of limited edition GTIs to take the performance to another level, like the Club Sport S, and TCR, all of which are mad cool if you have the cash to get into them. But for anyone buying the standard one, you buy into a typical GTI formula with a reserved exterior, tartan interior, golf ball gear stick with the manual version, and the red trim throughout. They start at around £10,000, with £15,000 getting you a 2014 model with 50,000 miles on it. Turbos on early models were known to fail, which will have caused other significant problems if it happened to your car, but VW did address these problems with replacement parts, so make sure your turbo's been upgraded by VW. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are, I'd really appreciate a like, as I said, 1,000, and I will make the video under 10,000 instead, and a subscription as well if you're new here. And let me know in the comments down below what the most fun car is you've ever driven. Mine is very easy. It's the MX-5. The MX-5 that I have built is terrifyingly fun. Let me know yours in the comments down below. I've never been a major new Mini fan, I'll be real with you. However, one thing the JCWs have always been known for is their go-karty handling and their relatively premium overall feel, making them a great driver's car but also a daily driver. In this video, I'm talking about the 3rd gen in particular, which came with the 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, producing 227 brake horsepower and taking it to 60 in 6.1 seconds, which again isn't that quick for a modern hot hatch, but it's about the right pace for UK roads if you want something that's fun to drive without being dangerous. This 3rd gen was a bigger car than the previous ones in basically every way, and like the Toyota and Mazda mentioned previously, gained its own race series alongside the British Touring Car Championship because of how well it handles, and the relatively low prices which make it easy to get more people into racing. I say relatively low because racing is almost always expensive in one way or another. The John Cooper Works was actually built as a rival to the Fiesta ST, and though reviews have generally been more positive about the Fiesta's handling, the JCW offers a pretty well-rounded package given the extra power it got over the previous gen and the eLSD to help it put that power down to the roads. But for me, I would see this car more as a fast and fun daily driver than anything else. A car to enjoy out on B roads when out in the countryside, but also sit in a decent level of comfort when cruising around a city. It does neither perfectly, but it's good at both for sure. You'll need to spend £13,000 at the bottom end for one of these, and £15,000 will nab you a 2016 model with 40,000 miles on it. Outside of some build issues, generally these have been pretty good on reliability too, which is always a positive. Taking the top spot in this video is a genuinely pretty fast car, bucking the trend that we've had so far, the Nissan 370Z, the 6th generation of Nissan's hallowed Z car. It doesn't look ridiculously different to its predecessor, the 350Z, and to be honest, similar stylings have been brought forward to the new Nissan Z, but the 370Z offers a bunch of fun, some good quality, some great power, and something a bit different that you don't see all too often on the roads here in the UK, with just over 2,000 of them driving around. It comes with a 3.7 litre V6 engine which makes 326 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5.1 seconds, which is pretty good, and all that power means that the car can be, and for many people is, used for drifting. I had the pleasure of chasing a friend and fellow YouTuber around Castle Combe in one of these, and considering I have a completely track-focused, supercharged Mazda MX-5, his drift-built 370Z really handled itself well against my car, and typically on track days I found myself racing 370Zs. Knowing that I've probably spent about 10 grand all in on my MX-5, the fact that you can get into a stock 370Z for a minimum of £8,000 tells you I might have wasted a bit of cash. For £15,000 you'll get a 2012 model, by the way, with around 60,000 miles on the clock. But the 370Z also offers a great platform for mods even if you don't fancy going drifting, and both the sound and design make it the kind of car that you can feel a little bit more special in driving around, even if it is only a Nissan. I see it as the poor man's GTR, though of course the two cars are quite dissimilar. Excessive oil consumption, oil galley gasket failure, catalytic converter failure, and clutch master and slave cylinders are the key problems to note on these. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you as always to the patrons for their continued support. Let me know in the comments what the most fun car is you've ever driven, as I said, and if you want to watch another video on some cheap luxury cars, then click up here and subscribe down here.